Hey, what's up, guys? Steppenwolf here, and I have with me today the Randall rd1 1 watt Diablo. And this one was modded by Ant at AMM Modifications. He did some crazy stuff to this because I had the original of this. This I did not ship mine to him and get mine modded, which is what he does. This was actually the one that he sent around to like Kyle Bull and a few other guys to have them check it out. This is, for the lack of better words, the rudest amp I've ever played through. I can't even really describe the sound. It just has like an attitude, like nothing but attitude. Um, if you play it kind of, without a boost, just regular style, it will definitely give you. I mean, you don't need to boost it. You don't. In fact, it's so hot that most boost pedals won't even work with it. It's just too much. Like I have the Killmod SD1 also from AMM amplification, and it is my favorite overdrive pedal. It boosts the shit out of any amp you put it in front of. But I'll tell you what, you try and do it on this, you're probably pushing too far. It's just too much. Now this guy, on the other hand, works great with it. You can see the settings I generally use on here. I don't have the level all the way up. Even with a regular non-modded amp, I tend to not like that late boosted out all the way. The drive, I have a moderate amount of drive there, and the tones kind of at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. That's to taste because when you play this with the way he has it modded with the three-way toggle switch here, on the original, you could only really use the middle position. I guess some guys might find use for the other ones. It just was too shrill or too scooped and dark, depending on what you did. You could really only find one usable spot, even with the middle switch, with the tone stack, to where it actually sounded okay, regardless if you boosted it or not. Now with this one, if you go to the right with it, or I guess you would get kind of almost like a Marshall sound, or a Mesa sound, excuse me, scooped, just thick, and that's another thing about this. I don't know if it's just my speaker cabinet. I have a Katana 2x12 I'm running it through. I caulked every seam and seal in there, which I heard is what Mesa Boogie does with their cabs, give it more bass. And I can tell you what, mine has so much thump with this amp. You wouldn't believe that it's not, EL84 or EL34s or like 6v6s in here. It really has that bottom end rumble. So if you're looking for like a good 1 watt metalhead, that's gonna give you that ground shaking, like feel it in your chest hit, this is gonna do it. So yeah, if you move it to the left of the toggle, you get kind of a Soldano sound. The best way I can describe it. It's kind of open, a little bit lower in the mids, not pokey in the mids like a Marshall or a 5150 would be, but really smooth and really open sounding. It's awesome. In fact, it gets a little quieter on that setting, I find, but it could just be that it's not got that mid poke out that you get in the middle position on this, which is, if you switch to the middle with this, it's kind of more of a like a somewhere in between like a Marshall and or maybe like a 5150, I've heard it said, but I don't really feel it's that. I feel it's more, like a Marshall, or like it's got that raspiness that Randall amps have too, like what you hear from like when Dimebag played them and stuff like that. It's just kind of got this like ugly, like just rude sound. It's just fucking rude. And I mean, like, if you throw this thing in your mix, I did an A and B with this, where I played my Amp 1 Iridium on the classic channel with the boost, and did a track, and then I went over that same track and did the same tracks with this amp mic'd, and I mean, when this kicks in, it's just rude. It's like it just messed the whole track up. It was like, oh yeah, that's a really nice tone. I really dig that. That's a real run of the mill sound. And then you throw this in there, and it's like, not only does it stick out in the mix, it's just plain rude. I mean, they call it the little bastard, and this little bastard is rude. It's just plain rude. Anyway, I'm going to get in some sound samples. I'm going to play it in the room and let you guys hear what that sounds like, and then we'll do a little bit of a mix and see what you think. All right, now let's see what this thing can do. So right now I've got it in the middle position, and playing through a Harley Benton SC Custom with Seymour Duncan Nazgul Sentient combo, and a few upgrades. But yeah, so this is your bass tone. This is just gain about 1 o'clock. The tone stack in the center position. So yeah, pretty chunky already, and I mean it's pretty clean, you know, the chords. You can hear everything, you know, it's not muddy, it's not unclear in any way. Now we're going to hit it with the SD1. Yeah, so that's the middle channel. Like I said, it's kind of like the Marshall, but it's got that Randall nastiness to it. Super chunky though. And you got this is the more open sounding. This is kind of like a Soldano. It's got less mids, more smooth. Yeah, so let's see here. So that was boosted. Bass tone with no boost. Like I said, you don't need a boost for it. It definitely do it on its own. In fact, if you're tracking with it, like for rhythms and stuff like that, I definitely would not suggest using a boost at all, unless it's just like flat out death metal that you're playing and you don't care how rude your track gets. It's super clear with no boost. You can get, I mean, it's just, it tracks really well. It really does. It's a good, like, everyday driver practice amp if you don't want to sacrifice not using tubes and stay away from like the whole modeling world, which I would suggest. This is a really good way to go. You're an apartment player, this will work for you. It's just, and the fact that it's got the center position is kind of like the Marshall, and then you've got the Mesa on the one side and you got the Soldano on the other. It's perfect. I mean, any metalhead or hard rock guy, and even doom guy, is gonna really appreciate the sounds that you can get out of this thing. So yeah, let me give you the scoopy side, the Mesa side. Yeah, super scoopy. I mean, I've got the tone knob up a bit, so it kind of takes some of that away. This is what it sounds like when you just have it at noon. Super raspy. That's the rudeness I'm talking about. It's just super raspy, but like it's like a Mesa with a bad attitude. You know, in this setting. But super clear. Once again, this is it boosted. Yeah, not the clearest when you don't have the mids, but once again, that for tracking rhythm tracks or something like that, when you don't need a ton of mids, you don't want to drown out your lead track. Super just chunky in the background. That will work. Definitely will. So yeah, now I'm going to show you guys. Put the tone stack back in the middle position. Gain at about 1 o'clock, and I'm going to show you. There's a bump in this thing where like it's a real smooth transition in the volume until you hit about 1 o'clock, and then it just hits you, and that's the sweet spot. I will say, and it may be just my cabinet, if you go past that 1 o'clock mark, you got about another quarter of a sweep before you start to overdrive the power section on this. He did upgrade the tube in mine, the power tube, to a better tube, and the transistor, I believe, as well, which are additional mods to the little bastard mod. Definitely worth doing. That's what gives this thing that low end balls that it's got. It really sounds good too if you run like a preamp through the effects loop on this thing. It makes all of them sound like they're a big amp, which is really cool, and I might show you guys that too. But yeah, let me show you that volume taper I'm talking about. So this is the regular tone. Noon. There's that jump up I was talking about. Yeah, super nice. I mean, it's like at its max before it really starts breaking up. I'll show you what I mean. Right about there, which isn't even the max. You're really overdriving that power amp to the max. So if you've got like thinner sounding pickups, like maybe a JB or something like that, you can actually get a little bit further with these chunky Nazguls. You may want to stay shy of going of overdriving that power amp too much. You know, you get more bass, but yeah, just. Yeah, so I still like it like that. In fact, when I'm just jamming out in the evening time, I usually, like right before I finish up my my practice set and I'm just like letting it loose, I like to crank it up there and just make some noise. Even at that setting, even at the loudest this thing will go, if you were in like a downstairs apartment, you could still play this and not get evicted. So it's definitely a viable option for anybody. Dude, if you've got a home studio and you're in an apartment and you want a small wattage head and don't want to sacrifice not having tubes, this is your best and only option. Like, don't bother trying to go with like, you know, a stock 1 watt anything that's tube. You know, Marshall makes one, a few companies make them. This is your best option. Buy this thing, find one used, send it to Anthony, get the mods. You'll have the best sounding recordings at your home studio. You don't have to mess around with, you know, all the, you know, neural DSP, all this, that. It'll never sound like a real amp. You'll just spend hours tweaking it and trying to fix the fact that it isn't. This is a one-shot fix. This is the real deal. Ant knows what he's doing, and this amp is the shit. This is going to be my daily driver from now on for like the foreseeable future. There's other pieces of gear that I have that are much more expensive than this that are going on reverb because of this. So I definitely would say, if you thought about doing it, just go ahead and do it. Like, you're not going to regret it at all. And it gets loud enough, even if you're not a bedroom player, and you just like have a 412 in your garage and you like to cut loose, let loose. It's going to give you enough thump that you feel it in your chest. It sounds like it's a 5 watt or better as far as volume output goes. It's a really great amp. You guys are going to dig it. But anyway, let me get into like a rough mix sample of what this thing can do, and then we'll close her out. All right. Sound sample. You guys definitely see what it does. I mean, it's got all the chunk you could ever want, and not at the expense of being midless or completely scoop sounding. A lot of times that's what you got to do to get the brutal chug that you want. With this one, I find it's about getting just the right amount of boost because it has so much gain on tap and it's so tight already. Amps with a little more flub to them take a boost a little bit better. So I will say that that's a consideration. But man, if you guys are thinking about getting a metalhead for home recording, just something to chunk out riffs on, doing your tracking at home at bedroom-ish volumes, this guy is your guy. And thanks, Ant, for sending that to me, and well, everything else that you do as well. Another side note, I've got the Venom boost coming in a couple of days here. I'll definitely be doing a demo on that, let you guys know what's what with that. As always, keep it metal, man.